foundational principles of War College. To know you must be constantly seeking the truth. To dare to be fearless, not just in facing the enemy, but also what lies inside you. To will to affect change in the world. And to keep silent. All secrets keep.
Motherland, Fort Salem, Tuesdays at 10 on Freeform. Next day on Hulu.
Hey everyone, I am Damian Holbrook from TV Guide Magazine and TV Insider, and I am here with the amazing badass women of Motherland, Fort Salem, and weirdly, the man who is behind the whole thing. So first we have Eliot Laurence, our showrunner and creator, and then stars Ashley Nicole Williams, Taylor Hickson, Jessica Sutton, Demetria McKinney, Amalia Holm, and Lynn Renee. Hello, ladies. All right, so I feel kind of out of this is, I want to look, what's up, witches? I am so excited to talk to you because this show, it says a lot. It's got a great message, but it's also just cool. It's a cool show. It's kick-ass. It's fun. Eliot, to just get started, when you were putting this together, where did this, it's so inventive.
There's always in my brain kind of floating around things that I love, and then they're kind of, I'm waiting for this moment when they connect. So always been obsessed with witches since I was a little boy. Was a witch for Halloween more times than my family was comfortable with. And then, the military is such a compelling subject and you can get so deep with it. And then one day they kind of merged in this what if way, what if one of the Salem witches cut a deal and started winning America's wars, and it just all kept flowing. And the what ifs were so consistent and so regularly delivered that I was like, this is a thing. This is totally a thing. And it took a while for it to take shape, but I knew in that initial moment, what?
Were you raised by incredibly strong women or inspired by them? Because
sure.
Just around the board, I'm like, if any of these people are based on people I want to know your people.
Absolutely. My
Same.
mom, I don't know if my mom would say I'm a feminist, but I think she was a feminist, and my aunts as well. And I think I've just always found women to be more interesting and compelling. And I love telling stories about women who freaking take charge and remake the world. So that's my favorite thing to write about. I just feel really lucky that I got to do it in this way and make up magic and mushrooms like that too.
One of my favorite things is that it's not a tale of female empowerment, because these women are power. It's not like they're claiming power, they are the power. Yeah. And I kind of love that representation of they're finding out who they are, they're finding their identities and their strengths and everything, but it's not like somebody had to tell them no, you've got this. They got it.
Jack Nicholson did not need to come to town for their powers to be activated. You know what I'm saying? It was inborn, and I think that's beautiful. I think it's about finding the power that we are born with and that is innate and claiming it. So, yeah.
And so what did you learn from season 1 that either you said, all right, that works perfectly, or okay, I want to tweak that for season 2?
I think I learned that people really love to just eat the world building and the magic up. And so whereas in season 1, I might have been I don't want to lean too much into that and paint that picture too resolutely, I guess. But in season 2, from the feedback we got from our fans, they just really, really love that stuff. And the new sense of a new take on a magical system and all that stuff is people eat it and love it. And I just leaned into that. And in terms of what I learned is that you just got to keep it going. Season 1 was pretty intense, but our wonderful network was how do you keep that going and make it even more intense? And I think we did it. And we did it after COVID.
It's really dark.
Which I'm so proud of, just all of us. It was such a journey to get this show done under COVID. I'm sorry, I'm jumping topics, but yeah.
No, that is so. All right, so you talked about the fans, and the fans are verbal. These fans know their stuff, and they have their ships, and they have their alliances. But for Ashley, Taylor, and Jessica, so much in the first season was made of these characters forming a unit in season 1. How did you 3 become a unit?
I would leave it to Ashley to tell the story. So one of the first time, I think it was the first time we met and we were about to go on set together. One of these two was licking my face, and the other one licked barbecue sauce off my pants. So that's how our unit was formed, literally. No, I think we had very, very quick chemistry, and I think that's rare in some instances. And for this show, you need to have that. And I'd say all of our cast, we are sisters, and we can count on each other and call each other up if we're just having a bad day. And it's really like we're a sisterhood. We are Motherland Fort Salem, but no, we are. It's genuine, and I'm glad that shows.
Yeah.
We were working really long hours too, so it's like we got to see the really vulnerable sides of each other and see each other tired and grumpy, and I think so much of that translates to camera too. So it's like, you know, as we're getting to know each other, I think the characters were also developing relationships and getting to know each other too. So like I feel like there was a lot of truth behind what was translated to on screen, and you know, we saw the most vulnerable sides of each other. We were with each other every day for like 16 to 18 hours. You know, we held each other's hands through hardships and things going on in our personal lives, and not spending that much time with individuals. It's just like, it's, you know, you got to have each other's backs, or it fails. And so yeah, I think we were so fortunate that we had a strong enough team, the strongest team to come together and make the product that we did. And it wouldn't have happened if even one piece was out of place. You know, everyone had each other's backs.
Jessica, of the other two, who would you call for bail money?
I knew you were going to ask this question. Okay, so I have a question to your question. What time are we talking about? Because that's really important.
It's late.
Because is it late?
It's late.
Well, then either of them, because they're both like night owls.
Correct.
Ash is an insomniac, but so that's why I was saying if it was going to be morning, I'd call Tay, because she wakes up to her alarms or calls where.
Or calls.
Wow.
Oh.
Okay.
On that note, I wouldn't be the one to be able to give you bail money, because if we're talking about me driving here in BC, it's not going so well. I'm so used to being on the other side of the road and the other side of the car, so there's that. We complement each other.
She's got American money.
She has American money.
That is true. It's Ash. What was I thinking? It's Ash.
Wait.
Can I take it back? Sorry, can we re-edit?
Amalia,
it would be both of them.
Amalia, did you Scylla's a little bit siloed in the story in that she's connected to Rael, but did you find yourself feeling a little isolated from like the beehive?
Yes, of course. And that was, it was sad, but no, I mean, when I wanted to use it, it was helpful to just think like they're the unit. You come in through Taylor and Rael, and that's your place, and we'll just explore the rest of it later. Because Scylla isn't part of that. She's not that comfortable at all, and she's not supposed to be with all of her her history and such. So, but off camera, no, I didn't feel isolated. I felt very welcome. And I just found some old pictures the other day from early on when I just found myself massaging Jessica's legs, because I guess she had some leg pain from training or something. So no, I felt included in that all the way.
I miss those massages, by the way. I miss those massages.
Speaking of injuries or leg pain, for the trainee, which is how intense did you go through training, or was just filming your training? Because I can imagine like the turnarounds and the all the different versions of things that you had to shoot was enough of a workout.
Yes, you'd think. Yeah, we went through some intense training, like 3 weeks prior for season 1, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
But even like on our off days when we were shooting season 2, we were up in that gym with our stunt coordinator EJ, and Demetria was out here killing it. She wouldn't even
Michelle Smith.
Yes, Michelle Smith too. But Demetria wouldn't even have like a fight scene. She's like, I'm gonna learn it. I'm coming in, I'm doing the knife drill, what are we up to? Like,
you kind of have to in the show, because you got to be prepared, because all of a sudden, you know, the finale is there and these incredible fight scenes are presented. And if you're physically not prepared, even just in general as an actor, I feel physically, you'll falter. And so it requires huge preparation.
We talked about the sisterhood of it all, and that's part of it, you know, being engrossed in it the whole way through, whether it was your moment, whether it was your stunt, whether it was your scene, we were in it for each other, you know, doing the drills together, running them back with each other. If one of us saw the other doing something a little awkward, we would uplift our sister. So, you know, the sisterhood carried through every bit of it, especially the stunts.
Nice. Okay, now, so let's talk a little bit about season 2, because we're a couple episodes in already. So, Demetria, first thing I want to know, on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you say Anna's loyalty to Alder is at this point?
Yikes! A scale of 1 to 10, I'd say maybe a 2.
Ooh.
Oh,
That's fair.
Okay.
There's been a lot, you know, and I don't think it stems from any one thing. There's just been a lot. There's been a buildup. There's been, you know, so many different things that have gone unchecked and unspoken of, that now she's just like, oh, okay, I'm gonna go sit you over there for just a second. I'm gonna go see what's going on this way for a hot minute, okay? You know, her trust has been broken, and, you know, it's a really, really, really fragile but strong thing, you know? So when it's not right, it's all the way not right.
Yeah. And though she also kind of didn't do something so right at the end of last season, letting Scylla out.
Or did she?
Well, I hear judgment. Anacostia felt like she had to do.
Well, I want to know, do you think Scylla can reform or redeem, can Anna redeem Scylla? Or do you think Scylla can kind of corrupt Anna?
Or can they meet in the middle? Just saying.
Mm-hmm. Here's the situation, okay? I think Anacostia sees a lot of herself in Scylla. They have so many mirroring perspectives, just different vehicles of getting to the same goal. The other thing is, I think that Scylla is a representation of what she hopes she can fix within the military, within her relationship with Alder. There's a lot of things she's trying to fix through this one being, you know? And yeah, she went a little bit off the road with releasing Scylla, but I think it was also in an effort to show that, you know, there has to be another way. We don't have to kill, destroy, remove, you know, it doesn't have to be all the way about the destruction of. It can also be about the inclusion of. It can be about the rebuilding of. It can be about the understanding of. There are so many other options out there. And I think that Anacostia's venture with Scylla is representative of just trying to really find a different way all the way around. It can't just be Alder's way, and it can't just be war all the time.
And that's interesting, because I don't know a lot about true witchcraft, but I know that so much of it is really about birth and creation and life.
Yes, absolutely. It's a nature religion, if you will, you know? So it's about the earth. It's about unity. It's about really grounding yourself in all things being one. And, you know, I think it's kind of been skewed by the past thoughts of what a witch is. And I think it's also been skewed by the war that we're representing within the show. So, you know, this is a nice, hearty look back into introspection and what we can do if we're all truly grounded together.
Okay. And now, Lynn, Alder, she's so severe in like both her look and her actions and her decisions, yet I find her so sympathetic. Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure if I'm right in doing that. Like, I feel like feeling bad for this woman would probably screw me over. But how do you balance that, like, kind of malevolence with almost like this almost motherly ability to connect with these girls?
Well, I, you know, never judge a book by its cover. And I'm actually really happy that you see that, because for me, it was very important to bring that humanity almost to Alder, and to have something to offset what we've come to know with her. If that wasn't there, you know, someone in power like Alder and the leadership that she's in, there's a reason that she's there. This woman, you know, did not just get hailed as General Alder especially because of her attitude. It's because of what she's been able to build up. And she is the mother of all. Even though she doesn't have her own children, all these recruits, all these, you know, lieutenant general, they're all her daughters, they are all her sisters. So she's, you know, maybe mother of none, but mother to all, like Eliot and I discussed one day. And that's something very beautiful. Also, I think someone who has the facade of coming across very cold and, you know, in their power is someone who has gone through an incredible amount of hardship and loss and sacrifice. So I'm really happy that you see that, because I put a lot of work in finding those little moments where you do see her and you come to question who she really is.
And as all mothers, all good mothers, they don't play favorites, but what does Tallys Sacrifice in the season finale kind of do as far as like maybe making her one of mom's favorites?
Thanks.
I think you say that well. I don't think Alder has favorite. I don't think it's with favoritism. It's more the relationship that she has with people. You know, in season 1, that was very much Anacostia, and we'll see what that brings and how that is shaped this season. But of course, with the incredible sacrifice that Tally makes, I think it is as close as you can get as a daughter, because you become part of her. It's like becoming an arm, or what do you call this? Another limb, an extension of Alder. Therefore, you breathe her, you feel her, you think her, you smell her, you everything. You become her. So yes, it's maybe also something that Alder, you know, has to be careful of. Like, does she want Tally as close as that? So, you know.
Yeah. And does that put Tally at risk, actually?
Oh, huge risk. I mean, you know, the biddies represent the armor, the shield of Alder. They do not only carry her age and war wounds, but they are her protection. They are what keeps her alive. And they are her immediate, I think, once Alder is under threat, the biddies come first. So yeah, it's a huge threat to become.
I don't think Tally knows what she's gotten into.
No,
definitely
not.
No. But I do love that. I feel like her decision and her move at that, like, really kind of set her on a path to really discovering who she is within this world.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I still think Tally's purpose from the beginning has been somewhat connected to truth seeking. I do think she's kind of gone from a living exclamation mark to a living question mark. I think she's deeply questioning a lot of what she thought she knew. And in that space, yeah, we'll see her unravel, but we'll also see and explore the incredible psychological connection with General Alder and where that will take her. She's got keys to doors that she shouldn't have.
I like that. Okay.
That was good.
Amalia, I know that you recently went on record as saying that Rael and Scylla are endgame.
I said they are in my heart.
As they are in Rection.
Yeah. How do you think that these two can get back to where they should have been without all the deception?
Well, I mean, I cannot not leave it out to say that Scylla has some making up to do. I think there's been an emotional betrayal in the sense that they were so close, and there was some truth that didn't come out on time, and it's very understandable that Rael had a hard time trusting her after that, and that she has to go through whatever she has to go through and have her view on it. But Scylla knows she messed up big time, and what Rael gave her in her life is just so big. It's her new like force for living in general, and therefore she's always going to have a longing for Rael. And by now we know that Rael's constantly on her mind, and working with Willa, Rael's mother, that, and also working maybe in somewhat with Anacostia, who also has a connection to Rael. Rael's still a lot, like very much on her mind, and she won't really ever give up on that. And so, yeah, I think that's what she's thinking.
Because yeah, you don't want to like get too much ahead. Taylor, what will kind of Rael's heartbreak? What will that do to her as a soldier?
I mean, I think those actions, like as expected, would be really hard to justify. I think Rael's questioning her own intuition as how she could put so much trust and love and energy when she already has a really difficult time trusting and letting people in, especially after the loss of her mother, the only other woman she's ever loved. So, I mean, I think her grief has really pushed her, as much as she's had colossal growth in trust and in learning how to grieve and mourn and let go. You know, Rael's a witch, but she's human. So there has to be setbacks in order to gain insight, and there's always going to be that push and pull, that dynamic, because she's learning how to give that same love to herself. I mean, she's learning how to forgive. She's learning how to be patient with herself in her mourning process, not just with those who've hurt her, but you know, with herself. And she's navigating the importance of having patience with herself in hardships. And I think thematically that's really relevant to all of the happenings in the last year. I think our viewership will really connect with her there, considering the last year. And you know, with pain, you always have two options. You can give in or you can get strong. And I'll leave it to the viewers to decide which one they think she chose.
And I want to thank Eliot for you had a scene, I think it might be in the second episode of the season, the phone call with your dad, which I just, it was a short scene, but it was so lovely.
Yeah, those two together are just like everything. Those
Rothgar
is incredible.
It was just the sweetest moment. I was like, because you know,
there's real love in there.
Yeah. Okay, so Ashley, couple questions.
Okay.
Who do you think is the more powerful witch, Abigail or her mother?
Abigail, without a freaking question. Yeah, you guys have no idea what Abigail is capable of. I don't think she even understands truly what she is. I think this season you'll see glimpses of what will be. She's just starting to hone in on her power. I try not to say too much because I'm the spoiler of all spoilers. No, but I 1000% think that Abigail is so much more powerful than Petra, and Petra has no idea. Abigail is the sky, and I will leave it at that. Eliot is like, yes! Yeah, just
well done. Well done.
Yeah.
Okay. She's so connected to the military because of her family, but she's the next generation. And for so many people, the next generation that, you know, is, you know, connected to something so rooted in history, they're the ones that make the changes. They're the ones that are, if you want to say the rebels, but they're the ones that instigate change. What do you think Abigail would like to see the bellwether name start to mean?
Sheesh. I feel like Abigail wants to create her own legacy. I feel like this season there's a lot of pressure on her to kind of, you know, start a family, get married, settle down. And I think she just wants, I think she kind of wants a little liberation and freedom in the bellwether name at this point. I think just creating your own destiny and, you know, having your family accept that, I think that's what she wants to leave along the line in the bellwethers. Yeah, and you'll start to see some of that this season.
Lynn, early in the season, Alder meets the vice president, who is played by Victor Webster, who is ridiculously handsome. Is she impervious to his charms?
Yeah, I think she absolutely is. You know, Alder is so old that I don't
She's seen those dudes come through.
No matter how.
Here's another one.
Very handsome man. But for Alder, she isn't previous to that completely. She's dealt with so many vice presidents coming in and out. You know, she's serving the 45th president, so she's dealt with 45 of them. So, you know, this one, she thinks when he walks in is not going to make a difference. Also, you have to understand her relationship with the president is not at the best place. We left it last year, you know, so when he comes along with it, she's like, oh, now I have to deal with, you know, the second.
Now him.
But at least he's pretty to look at, you know?
Oh, so handsome.
I just love that on a show filled with beautiful women, it's the guys that are the eye candy.
You're welcome.
Gotta be balanced, right?
Right,
Thanks,
exactly.
Eliot.
This is restoring balance to the universe. So we have some fan questions. First, Polish Alien 02 wants to know, which scenes do you enjoy shooting the most?
I enjoy the ones where I really get to be dark, deep Alder, where she doesn't do flying. I'll let you end that sentence. But yeah, I really enjoy just switching into, you know, Alder is so different than who I am in real life. My nickname is Noodle.
Little different.
So switching into Alder and as an artist and, you know, created by Eliot, to have a character that comes to you and where you have are given the freedom to make it dance, it's one of the most fun things. So yeah, I enjoy playing Alder every single day.
Stunts! I gotta say it. The stunts. Every time I get my badass on.
Yeah.
And wait till you see her in action.
Can't wait.
You're incredible, Demetria.
I'm scared.
Yeah. And what about the graduates?
Like working, I think this year we got to bring new characters in, so really getting to know them and, you know, finding out your dynamic in person as well as on screen was really fun, as we're all pretty well acquainted and situated. And then I think I would have to say working with Lynn, I got to have a few more scenes with her, whereas I didn't really get so much last year. You know, we had a little bit more one-on-one time. And I think that was something that I really valued, was just getting that little bit of extra time with Lynn.
And I'll hop on that and just say the exact same thing. I loved every scene with Lynn. She's just so formidable, such a person of such substance, and she just brings this character so much humanity.
It's really hard. I'm so excited to make the villain likable, you know? But it's like at some point you're written that way, and it's like to like what Damian was saying, was just to have the viewers have empathy for someone who's making really difficult decisions that, you know, might hurt other characters, and to still have people be on your team and root for you. It's a really hard thing to do, and it's something you do with your choices. It's not something that's necessarily always written, you know.
I think the scenes that we get to do together, I think, ground us the most and bring out our most authentic work, because you can feel the love, no matter if we're screaming at each other or don't. You know, we're at odds in the scene. I feel like we can feel each other's energy, and it just brings out our most authentic performances. So I feel like any scene that it's a group scene, whatever, we all are so connected that it makes our performances that much more better. So I feel like I love group scenes with us. There's a pretty big one in episode 10 that we shot on our last day, and I feel like everyone in that room felt it. Our crew, it wasn't just us. And I feel like when you shoot scenes like that and you can feel that energy, you know it's real. Those are my favorite scenes to shoot.
Amalia?
I would say I had a lot of fun playing with the mother-daughter-in-law dynamic with Willa, Diana Pavlovska, because the exciting thing about that relationship is that she's not my mother, and I can't claim that she will be, or I kind of want her to be, because Celia doesn't have a mother. She doesn't have a family at all. She's pretty much alone in the world. She had Rael. She doesn't really anymore. And so just playing with that and exploring how needy you can be or how engaged you can be. And at the same time paying respect, because it's not, is she my boss? Is she my mother-in-law? Like, she's both of those things. So that was a lot of fun. And of course, I'll have to say my scenes with Demetria, because playing that hate-love relationship is just, oh, I'll never get tired of it. I'd love to do it.
I can't wait to see it.
It's so fun. Like,
So
it's
excited.
so, like I feel like at any time they could burst into like a hug or a throwdown. You know?
Throw out.
Tension.
Right. Yes. How is filming Beltane?
Oh my gosh.
Because all of a sudden it was like, now you're all in dresses and you're dancing, and then
I loved it.
just
I
sex
loved
everywhere.
Jess was in her element.
I was.
Yeah, me too. I don't know. I don't
uncomfortable.
know how I was like, I feel like I was channeling Abigail's Queen Bee Maneater vibes, because normally I'm like, oh no, I don't want to do this. And in that
You
moment,
were.
I was like, let's go, baby. Like,
You-
okay, two of
you-
you.
One of this. Yeah.
Correct. I was so like in the zone, in the element, and that's not Ashley's element, so I was a little bit confused. No, but I felt kind of free in a sense, which
Yeah.
was strange.
And the
It's like, I
dances
love
were
the fact-
incredible.
It was
yeah.
like their Fleet Week. And I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
Well
simping
put.
for somebody else, so there was no way I was gonna hook up with anyone there. It was just no interest to me.
Yeah.
I was this close to begging Eliot for a musical number in season 2. I was just like, you really were.
Jessica, no.
I mean,
You
so
really
much
were.
included in the voice. So that's another thing. The magic world. I just the internet, like Fetch. You made Fetch happen.
Fetch, we need fetch back in culture. It's an important thing, and it's actually something I found in real research. It's a very spooky idea. It's this idea of a spectral observer that you can kind of program to do your will. It's kind of like a Buddhist thought form in another sense too. So it's very spooky and real. And it was inspired by that moment when you're like looking at a tree or something and you see a face for a second. What if there was a face looking back at you from the other
Like
side?
Grandmother Willow.
Ah!
It's so
Yeah.
haunting.
No, that moment was so crazy when I saw it written, and he told me about it. I was just
You
like,
knew just what to do.
he's off in the best ways. Like, how does he come up with this stuff?
Who came up with the stomping of the feet rather than, because we have a question from Ryo Shenmu wants to know who came up with the feet stomping instead of the hand clapping.
That would be me
Eliot.
again, and I love that
Yes.
question. And I think it just came from like clapping just was nowhere near bad enough for these babes. You know, it's just too polite and like 18th century or something. It felt like these ladies needed to stomp.
So is there like
And there's
a
something
white-
about stomping that's more uniform, no?
Oh yeah,
Like,
like that's the whole
yeah.
thing. It's like
Like
the fact that
thunder.
it's so aggressive and so very militaristic. Is there like a whiteboard that you just like have these ideas of the magic world that you just like, let's have
There's a
this?
lot to keep track of, yeah, but we have a great, writer's room and great assistants, and it is really about cataloging this stuff and making sure it winds up in the right place, because we are building a world that we kind of, each time we get to do this, it gets thicker and thicker, and it's just so exciting to see it form. So yeah, we're careful about that. A lot of whiteboards.
And now, because bringing in the ancient enemy this season, did that kind of force you to create new versions of magic, like a battle magic or things like that, because it's such an old enemy?
Yeah, and what they're doing, among other things, they're engineering a plague that is specific to witch blood. So they're kind of bringing science to genocide in a really, really scary way. But they're also perverting witches' vocal powers by taking some of these stolen vocal cords and mechanizing them in a really spooky way that gives them an approximation of some of the stuff that witches are able to do. Not the real thing, but close enough and dangerous.
Okay. Is this something like, should we start to expect perhaps Spree Army Alliance?
When the enemy's that bad, I think it's kind of a natural move.
Because I will tell you, all season long, I was like, the Spree is messed up. They're so like, they're creepy. Like, they're like the Proud Boys.
There's somebody worse.
Yeah, and then you show up with the Camarilla, and I was like, what the?
Totally.
Okay, so this is probably the last project I would think Adam McKay and Will Ferrell would be connected to. How did that happen?
It was an old relationship for me. I had done a movie with them I'm very proud of called Welcome to Me, starring Kristen Wiig. It was a few years ago. And so we had a wonderful creative relationship in that they always just pushed me to be as weird and inventive as possible and would kind of back me up. And I brought the idea into them and they loved it right away. And I think back then, this was 8 or 9 years ago, the idea was to maybe do a book series into movies. And I tried that, it was unsuccessful, but now I'm kind of like working on that idea again. And then I was busy for a few years, and then the idea came like, what about Motherland, the TV show? And I was like, how did I not think of that first? You know,
because it's so like, it's so original. Like so many things are based on a previous IP, and this like creating this, like I just love learning. Like as you're watching, you're learning this new magic, and then you start to think like, wait, that's it's not real, like it's magic. Like, it's
but we really try to make it real. Like we have vocal coaches that train our actors to pronounce these things that are like unpronounceable. And I always want the magic to not just feel like sparkles, look, magic. I want it to feel kind of real.
We learn mother tongue as well. We
Yes.
learn the language. We have to understand what it means. So it translates.
A lot of our work is very primal, which I love that you cut that feel.
Yeah. And also,
you know, bippity boppity boop type stuff, you know, it's actual work. I mean, yes, they are born with these capabilities that they have to harness, and you know, it is power within them, but it is something that they also have to search and learn how to harness and use properly. So it's real magic. That's the magic.
And I gotta give it to all of you ladies, like, because these are characters that, because they're rooted in the military and they're rooted in some, you know, violence and training, things like that, but they never lose their femininity either. You know, like you never forget that these are women. And that there's like, it's such a great balance that you're all walking. And every time I watch, I'm like, and there's like the queer aspect, there's the straight aspect, there's the, you know, like it's all there, but it's not.
Force. It doesn't feel forced.
Right, exactly. It's not lessony. But I know that they just launched the motherlandwitchtest.com, where fans can go online and do a series of tests, which I did last night.
What are you?
I'm a fixer.
Yeah.
All right. So who else has done this? Who has done this test?
I haven't done it yet.
I'm Necro, of course.
I haven't done it yet.
You're Necro?
Yeah,
I have, and I'm a civilian.
Oh, Jess. Oh my gosh.
I don't know how that happened.
She told me this.
I couldn't turn on my mic.
This is going to affect next year, Jess. This is going to affect a lot.
Shame. He said,
"Don't take
you're going from a biddy. Now you're.
I'm going again. I'm going to go
You're
again.
going to move to Minneapolis and open a bookstore
retake
next year. You're going to open a bookstore in Minneapolis.
That is amazing. Anyone else? Did anyone else take it? Did anyone else take the test?
I'm gonna retake it, Damian. That's what I'm gonna do.
I also want to know.
Can't cheat.
Send me the result, Jess.
How was the how is the makeup process going into being a biddy?
A lot, because I mean, generally I don't wear makeup. I mean, this is made up. This is a lot. But then you're adding like prosthetic, and for somebody as sensitive as I am, very sensitive, it was challenging. Yeah. But I mean, how many times do you get a transformational role, and that demands you to age up? You know, I think there's just a lot of youth orientation in our industry, and we're constantly seeing like people wanting to age down. And it was just, I don't know, I gotta look down at my hands, my bitty hands, and I saw my grandmother, and, you know, shout out to the amazing prosthetic artists who made that transformational, you know, possible, because really it was me kind of meditating for 4 hours. They're doing their genius work, and I just have to open my eyes, and I'm kind of in it. I'm like, okay, let's find out how to move.
So
talk about the suit, new body.
Didn't you have a body?
I said to our wardrobe head that I would love to incorporate the body, because we're going to be seeing Tally as a biddy. She's going to be standing and sitting and moving. So they made me a very sexy biddy body. And I kind of wanted to keep it, because it was, I don't know how many times I'm going to have that kind of experience. I mean, I'm hoping Andy Serkis might come for me one day, and I'll be able to do a whole circus character. That's my vibe. I love that. And I've been trained in the theater, you know, theatrical, very physical theater. I love that. And usually in film, you get your frame and you live in your frame. And it was just a joy to have the challenge. I'm so grateful for it.
All right.
Yeah.
And we have one last question from sadkid.jpg. for everyone. So we'll go around the screen. In one word or phrase, describe season 2. We'll start with Demetria.
Why you do that?
It's in the top corner for me.
Top corner.
One,
Go.
One word or phrase describe season 2. Change or die.
Change or die. 3?
It's a phrase.
It's a phrase. Oh, phrase. I didn't hear phrase. I thought it was one word.
Question marking myself. Yeah, change or die.
Okay. Ashley?
Oh, I'm next. Okay, for my character personally, vengeance.
Ooh. All right, Jessica?
Revolution.
Oh. Taylor?
Insidious.
Amalia?
Urgency.
Let's see. And Lynn?
Transcendence.
Ooh. And Eliot, final word.
Seeds of revolution, for sure. 100%.
Ooh. All right. Well, we are
Co-signing
closing on-
Jess.
This was truly a magical panel. This was awesome. The show is awesome. You guys, this is so much fun. For those of you guys watching at Virtual Comic-Con, don't forget Motherland, Fort Salem on Freeform Tuesday nights at 10, and you can catch up on season 1 and all the episodes of season 2 so far on Hulu. So thank you guys so much. Have a great time.
Bye. Thank you.